this yellow sheet is going to come around. We've already been talking about Britto and his positive art and his positive words, and you filled out a goal sheet for me, and on there it should be one word that you're focusing on. And I've decided I don't want a lot of repeats. I don't want everybody to do the word art of love or hope, or so this sheet is going to come around, and I'm not even actually sure how many are on there. It might be 30 maybe. And you're going to, when you see a word that you like, I'll start with one of the tables, and maybe you really like the word nice, okay? So I'll have one sheet per class. So I would put my initials for nice. I would give it to the next person. I would write down nice somewhere on a scrap piece of paper or whatever you have at your table. This was the sketch that I did earlier. And then that way, if you're not sure how to spell it, you will know how to spell it. Now, hopefully you know how to spell nice. But some of these, compassion and determine and discipline, might be a little harder for you to spell. And I definitely want it to be spelled right. Now, we are doing a word art project, and this is based off of Britto's love project that he did. I'm going to show you some pictures of that. And you probably already saw it last week when we were talking about him. And he's all about being a positive artist, which I love. That's why I chose him. And when you do your word art, I want you, if you need to, I have a ruler back here somewhere, which of course I can't find it, you can use a ruler. This is my practice paper, and I want it to be block letters. So if I think of the word nice, and here's another scrap piece of paper, if I was to write this kind of quickly, so you could see it, and just spell out the word nice, okay, that is not block letters, it's just regular letters. You want to think about starting in the middle. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 letters. 4 divided by in half would be 2. So in the middle, it should be in between I and C, okay? And then you would have your ruler. So let me get my ruler out here. And again, you're doing the block letters. You do not have to use a ruler. If you want to use a ruler, you can. I just want you to be able to get to your painting and your project today, or getting it ready on your paper. So in the center, if I measure my paper, I measure that I'll just put a line here, kind of eyeball it, like here's the top and here's the bottom, and you want it to be right towards the middle. Do this, middle and the bottom. Do this lightly, because you don't want to see that on your project. Or if you feel comfortable, like here would be I, so in the midpoint, basically eyeballing it, I would have the letter I would need to be here, and you want it to take up a lot of space because you're going to be filling it with patterns. And you're actually going to have a bigger piece of paper. Then I'm going to have C. Then I'm just doing it lightly. Think about how you want your block letters to go. And then all I need to do is the N and the E. And you want to practice this first. See what kind of block letters you want to write. Get it to where definitely it is spelled correctly. And then once you have your word written, your virtue word or your positive word, you're going to practice. Maybe you want some lines going this way, maybe you want some curve. You're going to have a background, and you're going to want to have patterns, okay? Then, after you get it finished, this is your practice. Maybe you want to have circles over here. If you refer back to this sheet, your practice that you did, maybe you want to have some hearts patterns over here. And this will be drawn in later after you have painted, and I'll show you the steps of that later. So this is probably all we're going to get to today. And you can refer back to this sheet here. The crisscross. This is the one I got from TPT. Remember, this is not my sheet. I also have line pattern sheets. I might have those out on your table if I remember to get them out. And then maybe you have different colors that are going to be painted in here. And you're going to be using temper cakes for this project. It's going to take a couple classes to do this. And your paper size will be a big one, so that's why I want you to practice on it. Now, I just kind of eyeballed this. I did not use a ruler. I would prefer you to do that so it doesn't take you forever to draw it. And then you're going to divide this into sections however you want. And remember, he does thick lines. If you feel comfortable and you want to go ahead and do a Sharpie on this, you can. I'm going to do a pencil and then go over it with a Sharpie. And then you're going to paint this with your temper cakes. When you're using the temper cakes, artists, remember they have to be woken up, and you will be sharing them with a shoulder buddy. I encourage you to leave white spaces if you want to on your paper, and you will not have to paint those white spaces, obviously. And when you use your painting, do not use black. You're going to use the Sharpie to add extra. I would not use brown, so please do not use the two of these because it will ruin your picture. Always start with the lightest when you're painting, artist. If you, like I said, you do not need to have white. That would be something that would be painted on top. And honestly, I don't know how well it will work to paint the white on top. You could try it, and then you would go to the darker colors. Remember, this is the ferrule. Don't put your fingers in the ferrule. Only dip the tip, stir that around to activate and get the paint started. I would paint all the areas that I want to do yellow first. That way it makes it easier before I clean my brush. when you paint the lighter color first, artist. That way if you make a mistake, you can always go over it with a darker color. So there's two reasons for that. On the lighter colors, it will make it easier to add your detail with your patterns. Remember, Romero loved yellow. It's his favorite color. In order to make your color bright, you can make sure that you stir that around. I'm using a Big Miss Paula. You can always choose whatever one you want. Doesn't matter to me. The round brushes actually work better with the tempera cakes, I think. He also was big on not having the colors touch. So if this is yellow, this would not be yellow. So you might need to go back in and add lines if you need. In painting, I like to outline the shape first. Makes it quicker. And then fill it in. If you need to go back in and add lines so your design will be better, go ahead. If you don't think it's dark enough, let it dry. Add another coat.
Artists, today you're going to be using tempera cakes. We have not used them, but well, if you haven't been with me before, you haven't used them. But I actually store them in the cabinet. I'm going to show you here under inside I and J. It's underneath the Miss Paula counter, and I like to leave them open when you're done using them so they'll dry. And I have a special stand that they go in. You guys are old enough, you guys will probably do it yourself, but I like to have blue and white are facing you. That way it makes it easier for me to clean them. And be very careful, these are the cakes, they're dry. They will break if you drop them. You will share them with a shoulder buddy or maybe one per table. We'll see how many we have. And they go in there just like that. Very carefully make sure that they actually sit in there, or tip them back if you have to. So these are the tempera cakes.
Artists, while I'm doing this is a lot trickier than it looks like to make sure those colors are not touching. I had to actually add another line, so I would separate that yellow. We are doing this in pencil, and then we'll go over it with a Sharpie. So if you make a mistake, you should be able, like an artist does, to turn it into something special. I almost think it might be easier, learning from my mistakes, to do your word, paint your word first, that way, and choose two different colors, if possible. That's what I'm going to try to do. I think it would turn out better that way. And then you can judge your background painting based on that. Also, if you want to leave white, remember, white is also a color that you do not have to paint, that you can just leave it blank, remember, okay? Thing I want to point out, using this Big Miss Paula to do these smaller letters is probably not a good choice, so I'm going to switch to a smaller Miss Paula. Cleaning your paintbrushes, to always do it in a number 8, and to be careful that you're not, I'm doing this over here so you can see it, but don't do it over your project. Don't have the bowl up in the air. Again, this is just so you can see it. Make sure we're not tapping, because that will ruin somebody's project. That we're just doing it very carefully. I want to mention with tempera cakes, your water will get dirty really quick. You can always very carefully dump it back in the sink and just have it half full. Artist, I'll show you on here. I wanted to just paint the word two colors and see how I have my letters overlapping, so I cannot paint that purple, so I'm going to have to paint it yellow. So I'm going to go back in and not worry about that line, because I'll be able to put a pattern design with it. So just a teachable moment. Another reason why you should do the word first is because my background is now bleeding into my word because I didn't do it. I'm going to go back in and add green in here and use the other I think it'll just make the word stand out a little, honestly. I do have to be careful because my paint is still wet. I'm here on a Sunday trying to get this done. Spread that paint around, artist.